Hi everyone, it's Carolyn and it is February 3rd, 2013. Hard for me to believe that it's already February. That first month of this year really did go by super fast, which I suppose is a good thing. I think it means that I feel like I'm doing a lot and making a lot of progress, even if the steps are small, that they're adding up to something significant. I guess tonight I wanted to talk about a more personal issue. But I don't really, I'm going to talk about my own experiences, but I'm not going to talk about them I'm going to try not to talk about them in like super specific detail. I guess what I want to talk about tonight is relationships that I've had in the past, and just how I feel like being trans, for me, in a world where I didn't feel like I couldn't even acknowledge it to myself and feel okay about it, and certainly at a certain point in my life couldn't acknowledge it to others, how that resulted in sort of my pain kind of being like a ripple in a pond and radiating out and causing pain in other people's lives as well, and that's and it's part of why I think that there's so many reasons why, but it's just another reason why I think it's so important that that we as a society, and we're making a lot of progress, obviously, but we still have a long way to go, where we get to a point where this is not an issue that people who are growing up with it feel ashamed of, or feel like they can't talk about it with others, or like it's something that they need to hide from themselves or from other people. And it's a lot like, certainly, still to this day, I'm sure that, across America and around the world, there are probably millions of gay people that are, closeted as much to themselves as to everyone around them, and maybe are in marriages, heterosexual relationships and marriages, because they can't acknowledge to themselves and to the people they're with, who they really are, and that probably causes a lot of pain. Ultimately, in the long run, in these relationships, for everyone involved, for the partners as well as for the people that I'm referring to. And so, in my life, and I take full responsibility for the things I've done. I'm not blaming being trans on, I'm not blaming the things I've done on my being trans, but I'm saying that it was definitely the factor within myself that I was sort of losing the struggle against, and that resulted in me doing some pretty, some things that were painful for me and for others. I've only had a few, I guess, what you could call serious relationships in my life, and there was during the time in my life when I was basically still, pretending to be a boy, and basically, they were the relationships I was in. I cared about the people I was in those relationships with very, 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 very much. I loved them, and I still, truth be told, I still do. But I couldn't be the person that they deserved and that they were looking for and that they wanted, I think, me to be. Because I couldn't bring myself to be honest with myself and with them about that, I mean, which they deserved to know. I mean, and if I could go back and if I could do things again with the confidence that I have now in who I am and who I know I am, I absolutely would. It's, one of the biggest regrets of my life is the way that I sort of sabotaged these situations because, I mean, the pressure of, wanting to be who they wanted me to be was so tremendous, like internally, emotionally. And if I could have just accepted who I was and what I was, it would have been a completely different story. But I couldn't, so I kept trying to force myself to be something that I wasn't. Sort of, out of a misguided, I don't know, out of loving them, but not in the way that maybe that I needed to, or that they wanted me to, or that one should in that sort of relationship. So, yeah, I mean, so instead, I just, rather, I sort of just sabotage things in a way that was really heartbreaking. Well, I knew it was extremely painful for the people that I was with, which was painful for me because I hated causing them pain, and it was painful for me because I did care about them, and I wanted to have a connection with them and some sort of meaningful relationship with them, but just I couldn't have the kind of relationship with them that I'd sort of fallen into and that they wanted, and that that on some level I felt like I should be able to give them, because I wasn't really, again, being totally honest with myself, at all honest with myself, and certainly not at all honest about this with them. So, it's a thing that it's the sort of the biggest, like, regret of my life is, I mean, I still feel a lot of kind of guilt and shame about, like, how that all happened and how poorly I handled it and how much pain I caused other people, and but the reality is that, I mean, as long as people are growing up who inside, like, know that they're trans, they know that they're not what everyone thinks they are. As long as people keep growing up, and as long as people keep growing up like that and feeling like they can't, like it's something to be ashamed of or hidden away, or that they're, that they're just, it's just a phase, and they can change themselves if they just try hard enough. If they just try hard enough, they can change, or whatever. If rather than just being able to accept who they are, then this sort of thing is going to keep happening, where people cause pain not just to themselves but to others in the long run, because they continue trying to deceive themselves and others, and that only ends up leading to pain and sorrow and other bad things. So it's always extremely heartening to me when I see that more and more stories about parents who are accepting their trans children and letting their children start transitioning and living the life that they want to live as children, that children have that kind of, some children, obviously, I'm sure for every one story like that we hear, there are 10 or 15 or 20 children in this country whose parents make it clear in no uncertain terms that that's not okay and that they can't express that or be that person. But, you know, and that's terrible. But still, I mean, progress, you know, steps are being made, progress is being made, and, you know, each of those children that's transitioning as a young person definitely won't have to face that issue of, you know, trying to pretend to be someone they're not, you know, because it's just what they feel they're supposed to do or what have you. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Again, it's the thing I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if I really said anything by talking about it, but anyway, I felt like I wanted to talk about it at some point. So, I talked about it. Maybe I'll talk about it again. Quick, more lighthearted side note. Today I bought like eye makeup for the first time. Just eyeshadow, no like eyeliner or mascara or anything, because I don't really think that. I mean, I want to be very low maintenance when it comes to makeup. If I wear makeup at all, I mean, many of the women that I want to that when I was in college and after college and still to this day, who I look to as examples of, you know, women who I find strong and beautiful and womanly and everything, you know, in ways that resonate with me. I mean, many of them don't wear makeup at all, or, you know, just very subtle, kind of natural-looking makeup. And, yeah. So, anyway, I mean, I've used, like, foundation and blush and things like that for the past few months, like, not every day, but sometimes. And I kind of enjoy it, you know, I think it's fun. I like having that option to do that, and I think that I get something out of it. Eye makeup, maybe it'll grow on me. Like, it's something that I wanted to learn about and try out. Right now, I'm sort of feeling like I don't know if the impact of it is worth the effort. Like, if you're going to be subtle and natural about it, which is what sort of appeals to me, is it even worth doing? Maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind. You know, I'm going to sort of play with it for a while, have some fun, experiment with some things, see if I like it or not. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but that's just another thing that's going on with me, transition-wise. Yeah. It's been about a month now since close to a month. It'll be actually a week from today. It'll have been a month since I talked to that service that I mentioned that tries to kind of help people find reliable and, you know, more affordable sort of surgeons and other trans-related medical resources. Specifically, you know, I contacted them about finding me an FFS surgeon. I haven't heard back, though they did say that, like, they were traveling to Thailand and, you know, they were going to be doing some looking around and stuff, and so I understand that it might have been a little while. So I'm going to give them about another week and see where they're at, and then follow up with them, see if they've come up with anything. And then after that, I may need to kind of move ahead with making FFS plans on my own, if they haven't come up with anything, because I am getting increasingly impatient, and it's something that I want to nail down soon if I can. Still, you know, looking into financing and things like that, as that is somewhat of an issue. But anyway, but it's I think it should be feasible relatively soon. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. Thanks for listening. I will, you know, again, as always, any questions, comments, please feel free to leave those, and I will be back soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Bye.